Hi everyone, welcome to Gassing On. Series 3 continues. I've lost track of the episode, so I don't know what happened there, but I kind of missed it out. But no, thanks for joining us and welcome to this episode. We're going to be looking at MMCs today, modern methods of construction. So it's something that's been a bit of a topic going around. It's been looked at previously. It's cropped up a couple of times, but I thought I'd just dip into it as I've had a few inquiries and uh, bits of interest on it. So, welcome to this gassing on. And well, as we can see, we've got a McDonald's there. So, very modern form of MMC, modern methods of construction. But are they all that modern? It's actually the modern part actually started a long time ago. And most of our timber, well, most of our structures were originally, timber was a resource that we could readily get. There was plenty of forests around back in the medieval and even way before that. So, is it so new? Well, we can make our own call on that. But the way that we're working with materials and our limited resources that are coming around now is certainly a consideration. So, one of the common ones that we're coming across is the modular buildings that are built off site, and that's where the government's real priority is in quicker methods of getting buildings put together. A lot of you would have stayed at like your hotels, your Premier Inns, Holiday Inns, etc. Often those are built in this modular format that we can see here. So, very fast track. But the interesting thing that we can see here is the way the stilts or the foundation piles have got voids underneath, and we'll look at that in a bit. And hopefully, I'll be able to give you an example of how this is structured. But how does gas membrane and the work that we're involved with contaminated lands and putting gas protection in played out? We've also got a more familiar one that we use in the UK, and again, historically, it's been there for a long time, but timber frame structures. I know certainly more popular in the north and Scotland, but timber frame structures, it is classed as a form of modern method of construction. It's very quick. The buildings can go up very fast track, and we can see all the roof trusses, etc. in there. So again, another method, but the foundation systems might be more traditional. And again, we'll look at foundation systems as we move on. Another method that I've actually encountered this a couple of times over in Australia and New Zealand, they call it tilt slab out there. Um, I don't know the official terminology here. Maybe someone would like to comment, but precast concrete panels, as we can see, huge panel in this situation, 3 stories high. But these are lifted in, very fast form of construction, and again, considering how the methods of work can adapt to have different products joining each other. So precast concrete joining a cast in situ slab, and how gas protection will sit in with that. Likewise, if it was concrete structures interfacing with metal structures, like our porter cabin example. So I've got a little video here, and hopefully this will show some of the pods or the pile heads ready to take the modular buildings. So when we talk about MMCs and modern methods of construction and the use of modular buildings, we can see here a foundation system set up ready for looking like porter cabins for this relocation of office buildings on a site, but very similar to what MMCs are using these days. So how we incorporate gas protection into that, certainly something to have a look at. So that we can see they were set up ready. So when we talk, we've got it again. There you go. There's a screenshot of the overall. So it's actually going to be. Well, I made some inquiries into what the proposed use of these pads were, and it's for a accommodation block on a big site over in Europe, and it's ready to. It's going to be there temporarily, only for about 2-3 years, but it was for accommodation block. So again, considerations of how long term the building's going to be used. There's a lot of factors we've got to think about. Longevity in the buildings. Is gas protection going to be required all through that? Is it likely to be significant enough? And again, you can see the pads sit out the ground there. They're about 400-500 millimeters off the ground level there. But we can also see a lot of vegetation growing up in that void. plus potential for drainage issues as well. So again, lots of factors we've got to think about. If we take a more traditional foundation system that we're used to in this country, where we lay a concrete slab, a cast in situ slab, or we might use a block and beam structure. But here we can see some gas protection going in with provision for receiving timber frame structures. So the sole plates will sit where we can see the white tape there, which is the backing of a butyl, 100 mil butyl strips, ready to receive the timber frame and to be shot fired into place. So, incorporating that, there's been thoughts on that. We can also think about off-site fabrication of panels. Now, this here we can see there's actually a panel there circled in the background. This particular company, due to weather conditions primarily, but also for speed and ease of production, they fabricate panels off-site in a clean, safe environment, a lot less harsh than being on site. And they will then roll the panels, as we can see circled there, ready for dispatch to site for kind of minimizing the work as well, as in site seams are reduced and, hopefully speeding up working processes. So again, this it would be considered as a modern method, rather than taking lots of rolls and trying to do a lot of seams on site. It can often be done off site and speed up the process. Likewise, here we can see, I'm going to just do a quick sketch detail here of footing. So I thought I'd just start drawing these up, and those of you that know me, I do like getting the pen out and scribbling little sections. But here we can see the pads of the modular buildings that we looked at earlier. So just setting them in all to level, unlike my drawing. And then they will receive the prefabricated unit cells, porter cabins to sit on top of that. And as we can see here, I'm just going to identify, we've got that nice void sitting underneath, so I'm just going to highlight where the clean air space is in blue. So you would expect there'd be some through flow of air. But again, if that footprint gets too big, consideration has to be made for possible stall points or lack of movement in the air. But we've also seen points where people have introduced membranes to the slab. So here we can see, just drawing in a line here for the membrane, and they might be detailed into the columns or the pads as I've been describing them. So interfacing, however that's done with self-adhesive or preformed units to, basically shut them off. But could that inhibit potential for airflow? So if we look at our traditional 8485 models, sometimes incorporating all the measures, the membrane, the ventilation and the structure, here I've just introduced some cuspate. So that might be another option. Again, these aren't defined methods, they're just ideas. I thought I'd put this out there, just as ideas. So there we go, we've got the foundations with a quick sketch through there. Hopefully that explained just some options. But we also looked at possible other formations where possibly precast concrete slabs are used. So I thought I'd just draw up a sketch here for a slightly different system. So here we would have either beams or pile caps, so a piling system possibly in place, possibly for a more long-term building. So unlike our previous one, which was just a temporary solution, these, long-term piling, it's an expensive business, so we won't be piling our temporary buildings. But here we can see using tensioned beams, so something like a bison precast concrete beams going in, and often used in some more industrial kind of use buildings. Again, we could look at many different flooring types and structures, but here you can see using a bonded membrane that is actually cast into the underside of the slab. And looking at that junction there, that's always going to be a bit of a query point. We need to think, what can we do there? Or do we incorporate a kind of tail upstand system where possibly bonding them as they are located? I know I've previously looked at this system with a couple of companies who've had ideas, not necessarily using bonded membranes, but also using spray applied product on the underside and looking to link them in. So just a few ideas there. Now, the key thing is whatever option we take, and I think we could identify it there with the way the beams we're going to lay on top of the beams is protecting it, but also protecting it from the follow-on trade. So here we can see, a perimeter detail put in. Okay, this is more of a traditional cast slab with a superstructure, but a perimeter area has been put in. So this could be similar to our timber frame structure where the perimeters are all lined out first. But here the bricklayers have been, carefully locating boards on the top to protect it for the latter works. And as we can see, we're back in a timber frame structure, and we can see the condition of the membrane there. It's lived through quite a lot going on, not just the weather, but other occupations, the timber framers, the roofers, the tilers, and as we can see, when the infills come in, having a clean area and a undamaged area is quite critical at that point. So again, how we incorporate our sequencing of work is quite key. So, all being well, the main aims of our MMCs are to kind of reduce time, get the jobs done quicker, um, improve efficiency. We're always looking for that. But we're also looking for the future and the environment to reuse, recycle. As we should be considering with buildings under CDM as well, are the buildings able to be serviced during their construction, in their living, in their use, and also during their dismantling as well. So, understanding, can it be taken apart? Are those products able to be reused? So BREEAM kicks in a little bit here. So thanks for watching. And you might wonder, why has he put that McDonald's up there? Well, the McDonald's, again, I had some experience many years ago, putting up one of the earliest, I think it was in about 2005, one of the early drive-throughs that was being built, but it was one of the first ones they built on a contaminated site, and there was a lot of questions. But I remember talking to a colleague on site, well, one of the site managers, saying, "What's the time frame for doing these? Because they're all built off-site." And he said, from breaking ground to serving the first burger, they look at 5 weeks is their proposed time frame. As you can imagine, the buildings are all built off-site, and getting all the groundworks, the foundations, the services in, and literally laying out the units when they arrive. It came on the back of about 9 different lorries, all linked together, and the final thing was to finish it and get it sorted so the burgers were served. So I think it's time for me to head off and have a burger now. But thanks again, as usual, for watching in, and usual details, usual contacts, and really do welcome all those comments that come in. And thanks again for watching. And well, any interesting stories or anything you want to share, come on board. And well, I'll see you all next time. Take care now. Bye.